serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off into fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know?
My name is Jay. This is Guilty of Crime.
Hello, everybody. What's up? Today, we're remembering Corey MICCIOLO. Maddie, I see you here in chat. Maddie, Olivia, and I'm going to play these pictures while I talk. I have an intro, but I can't play the music, so I'm going to let those scroll as I talk. Hello, everybody. Do me a favor, hit the like button. I got that from YouTube. All those pictures from Maddie. And Maddie, if you're still there, Olivia, good to see you. Today, we're talking to Corey's grandma, Rebecca MICCIOLO. She's going to speak out today about Christopher Gregor's sentencing, if she thinks it's fit. It's very raw. And as we're going over this, I'll tell you, I got about 15 minutes until she comes in. And until then, we're going to do a case recap. Now, while I'm doing this and I'm talking, I'm playing these, I'm putting these pictures because today is a special day remembering Corey. All right. And now, trigger warning, everybody. You know, this is my trigger warning potato. So, trigger warning when Rebecca MICCIOLO comes on. Please do remember that she's free to say what she wants. It's going to be very raw. It's all raw and fresh to her. All right. So, on that note, let's talk about it. Christopher Gregor. This is often referred to as the treadmill dad. Now, we all remember that I'm not going to show the treadmill scene again today, but he was convicted of aggravated manslaughter and child endangerment to the death of 6-year-old Corey MICCIOLO. Now, the case gained significant attention due to the graphic video footage of the treadmill. The surveillance video showed Gregor forcing Corey to run the treadmill at high speeds, causing him to fall off over and over and over again. The incident, along with other abusive behaviors that we've talked about in many other episodes, it ultimately led to Corey's life being taken. Also, blunt force injuries. So Gregor was sentenced to 25 years in prison, with 20 years for aggravated manslaughter and 5 for child endangerment. Remember, they offered him a 30-year sentence, I believe, and he turned it down, and he ended up getting less because the sentence is to be served consecutively, meaning he must complete child endangerment and then after that, the next sentence before starting the manslaughter charge. So Gregor's eligible for parole after 85%. He's been in there for years. We broke it down. I believe he's going to probably be a good guy in there because that's how he pretends to be, and he'll probably be out in 18 and a half years with whatever time was served. It's obviously a tragic case with big consequences. We heard lots about this case before. Absolutely, he should have gotten more time. We're going to talk about that today. There's Rebecca on the screen in the pictures, and I'm going to do a recap. When I do the recap, I'm going to put Bree on here. She's not live, but we are talking to Rebecca today, letting her have the floor. I want to remember Corey MICCIOLO as he was before. So still, this channel is fan funded. So if you have the means to donate to the channel, gift membership, super chat, super stickers, all that, I do appreciate it. All right. And I want to thank Scary Sherry for sending me a $15 Cash App yesterday. I didn't see it yesterday. All right. So let's get into this so we can have enough time before Rebecca comes on. And I'll play this also, but we're also going to go over Gregor's sentencing with her on so she can react to it and let you know. I don't want to show anything or say anything that's like, triggering to her, but the sentencing is what we're talking about. Her book, her letter that she wrote to him, just recently, she wrote an email to him days ago. All right. So I want to go over that and we will get back to this video, but let's get to this one and highlight the case. Remember what happened. Beautiful little boy. We want to remember all of our victims, families are victims too. All right, let's go.
This 100 times. 100 times. because her little boy kept coming home bruised and beaten when he visited his dad's. 100 times. And then there was this one last time, and it was a biggie. It was an emergency order seeking full custody. Emergency to the Department of Child Protection in New Jersey. Emergency. He can't go to his dad's tomorrow at 9 a.m. It can't go on. It can't. And the judge said, no.
Now, remember, Rebecca's also going to talk about the judge. She's going to talk about Chris. She's going to talk about sentencing, and it's still very raw. Holidays just passed, meaning Halloween. Were there other children that are around, and Corey wasn't there. Thank you for becoming a member, Tish. And Criddles, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Much love. Thanks for the amazing content. I appreciate you. I hope you guys did follow this case, and I hope you watched the trial, because we did deep dive into this case a lot. So now we just want to make sure we remember those people that we've covered and give Rebecca a platform.
And so Bree loaded that little boy into the car, and she took that little boy to his dad's. And 9 hours later, that little boy, Corey MICCIOLO, is dead. And there's the result right there. His dad's mugshot, charged with murder. How does this happen? How does this happen? Bree MICCIOLO is live with me now. Bree, I am so incredibly sorry that we are meeting under these circumstances. It's unbelievable that this can happen in this day and age. Why, after 100 calls and an emergency desperate plea, were you denied the opportunity to keep your child alive?
I don't know if it was incompetence on DCP&P's side or.
Now, remember, DCP&P is CPS in other states, and we talked about CPS in the Tiffany Lucas case, where she took her two boys' lives, but with a gun, execution style. And you've got this mom on the other side of CPS fighting for him, and she doesn't get him back. She gets him back in the way that she doesn't want to. Bree is a warrior. She's been on our channel before. We love her. We support her. And she always has a platform as well. Thank you, Stormcat, and everybody that's here. All right. So remember that DCP&P is CPS. They failed too many times, and this is one of the big ones.
They just didn't believe me, but I collected evidence. There was a video of it happening. So I honestly do not know how it was not clear as day that he was being abused. It makes no sense to me, and I don't think it ever will.
I can't show the video right now because it hasn't been released, but I'm going to describe it for our viewers. It's at a gym where the allegations are, and the video purports to show
And the
his
judge
dad
saw it.
putting him on a treadmill and continuously upping the speed, even though Corey can't keep up and keeps falling off the back. He's grabbed by his shirt and put back on the moving treadmill. He struggles constantly to gain his footing. At one point, his father, Christopher, Gregor, appears to bite the top of his head. Even despite all of this, the court said this: they do not find that Corey is in danger of imminent and irreparable harm. Therefore,
now, remember that the judge saw this. A judge saw this. There was a judge that reviewed this and still gave him back to Chris. Christopher Monster Gregor, thank you so much. Sorry, guys, still sick. Prayers to you. Scary Sherry, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. The father is demented. We did a video on him being a sadist. All right. Now, this video was ruled by a judge for him to still get him back, and then days later, this happened. Or maybe it was days or weeks, but we can count weeks as, 14 days, 13 days.
the court does not find a temporary modification of the parties' custody and parenting time arrangement appropriate at this time. This was the day before Corey died. And then after Corey died, the judge said, the video was viewed by the court really speaks for itself in illustrating that this defendant did abuse this child. I think when you watch the video, it is fair to say that anyone who would do this to a child does pose a significant risk to the community. Is that the same judge, or is that a different judge based on now the murder allegation?
It was two different judges.
There it is.
Have they spoken? Has there been any consensus among law enforcement and authorities that they completely failed you, and that because of that, your beautiful little 6-year-old boy, Corey, is no longer with us?
See.
No one's going to admit that they thought the abuse was going on before, because that just shows they were wrong. But now that he passed away, all of a sudden everyone is like, how didn't we know? You did know. You were just ignorant, I guess you can say.
Can I ask you, Bree, as the litigation moves forward in Corey's father's murder case, are you also launching civil litigation against the authorities who?
And I love that she is. I love that this is still happening. I really hope that he gets a fat lawsuit, him and the family. All right. So this is great. We support Bree. We support Rebecca. She'll be on here shortly. I wanted to play this first so I didn't, trigger her or put anything out there that she didn't want to see. 6 years old, didn't make it to his 7th birthday. Absolutely. We're looking at a demon here, and CPS and judges and all of those people failed him. It wasn't just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people. It was many people along this chain.
Who ignored your 100 different calls and attempts to keep that child away from him?
Absolutely. They need to be held accountable. This happens too often. I've heard other stories from other parents of the same thing, and something has to give, something has to change. I don't know why this is allowed to happen.
It's unfathomable to us as well. And I hope you'll keep us abreast of your efforts to find justice, not only for yourself, but also against the person who is alleged to have done this horrific thing to his own flesh and blood, his own baby boy. Bree, again, I'm sorry we're speaking under these circumstances, and I wish you all the strength in the world as you move forward.
Prayers,
Thank
Bree.
you so much. I appreciate it.
Bree MICCIOLO joining us live. I would like to.
All right. And again, we support her 110%. The family, I cannot wait to hear what Rebecca has to say. I cannot wait to hear the messages that she sent to Chris. She wants a response. Of course, she would like one, but we're going to see if that happens. I don't know if it's happened thus far because, I haven't talked to her since she sent it. We briefly just exchange text messages this morning, but as we wait for her to come up, I'm going to play this and we'll talk about the case, and we're going to play the sentencing as well. It's not the whole sentencing, it's just minutes of the sentencing. So as you can see, beautiful. You did a fantastic job, Maddie, Olivia. You did a fantastic job on this. Good to see you, Tiff. Haven't seen you in a while. And we have Rebecca. Let me add her to the stage real quick. And as we watch this for a second, I'm going to stop this and I'll pull her up. Beautiful little boy. We'll get back to this. I hope you guys got to see these images, soak them in. We'll play them some more. For now, let me bring her on up. And Rebecca is here. Let me put the double screen here. Hold on 1 second. All right, there she is. You're muted. Go ahead and unmute yourself. There you go. Good afternoon. Good to see you. It's probably evening for you there.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. How you doing?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing okay as well. Doing okay. Prayers for you, the family, and we just did a quick recap on the things that happened just so people that don't know the case know it, and the ones that do. So I see a few people here from the community, from the Justice for Corey community. So you have the floor. I want to find out from you, talk about sentencing. That was a big question I had, was what do you think about the sentencing? Obviously it's never enough, but looking back at it now.
It's never enough. I really got tired of hearing from all the experts of why they couldn't do more. I get that, I guess he was never convicted of a crime prior. I don't know. I don't understand the law, so I'm not going to really, I just don't think it's enough. I don't think it would ever be enough for anyone who had to deal with this.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And we broke it down 7 different ways before, and we were like, okay, he has 18 and a half years total, and then however many years he was in. I don't know if he was in for like 2 years or something, because he
Yeah.
wasn't out on probation. So yeah, he's got like 16 years, which is never enough, and it goes by really quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's going on with you? How, I hear Halloween was tough. You did a book he wrote to him. Tell me about everything. Talk about it.
I've written to Chris 3 times, September, October, and then again today. I figured I'll do it monthly. I don't expect a response, but it's like therapy to write to him. So I don't know that he's getting the emails, because I know that the staff at the jail has to read them first. And I guess they determine if it can be, given to him or not. So
Is there anything that you want to read?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll actually read them, the 3 of them, to you if you want to hear them.
Yeah, I would let you know that. I mean, I just got a letter from the prosecutor in Kentucky. I was doing Tiffany Lucas, that took her son's lives execution style, 2 of them, and she was on the opposite side of CPS, and the prosecutor just emailed me and asked me to take the body cam footage down. So I mean, that gives you an idea of who's watching these things, and I know many times the family does. So if that little bit of hope that it gets out there, and maybe the family, the dad's watching or the mom, I'd love for them to hear this from you.
Right. So the first email I sent to him was on September 10th, 8:27 a.m. It was very brief. I just said, I'm requesting a visit. Add me to your list. That was it. And then on October 22nd, 9:28 a.m., I wrote, I don't expect to hear back from you, but I will continue to email you so you know that I've not forgotten you. I'm a believer in God, and God does see everything.
Take your time.
God, I fucking hate him.
I know. Oh.
I'm a believer in God, and God does see everything. As I told my grandson when he asked if God could see what you were doing to him. One day, as you were taking your last breath alone, maybe you will tell someone what you did on April 2nd, 2021. I won't ask you because I already know. I also know you attempted to have Brianna killed while you were in county. That's not wise, but I expect nothing less from you. She's protected. We all are. You won't get another opportunity to harm my family. I pray daily that you are feeling just like my grandson felt in your presence, afraid, hungry, in pain. That online master's degree didn't make you a man. It's a joke. My grandson deserved a father, not a monster like you. I'll send a stamp in case you decide to write back. I won't hold my breath. Hope your appeal is going well. I heard it takes a long time. Must be so difficult looking at the same walls with no freedom to go outside when you want. Very much how my grandson felt when he was with you. Have a nice day. And then the one I sent today, because I figured I would send maybe monthly. So today I wrote, I don't even know why I was being nice this morning, but I wrote, good morning, Chris. I don't know what got.
It's therapeutic.
Right.
It's therapeutic sometimes.
So I wrote, good morning, Chris. I'm hoping your short time in prison has given you time to reflect on the horrible acts you committed. I know you filed an appeal, but honestly, you and I both know that won't set you free mentally. If you got out tomorrow, you still have to live with the facts. You can deny it and maybe even convince yourself you didn't do it. but I know somewhere in that head of yours, you know what you did. The sad thing is your family never reached out to offer condolences. They've decided trying to save their name is more important than the life that was lost. Corey was their first grandchild and nephew to your brothers and sister, but nobody is grieving the loss of Corey. It's very sad. Let me tell you about my grandson. Corey was a beautiful child, and this is me writing to Chris in case he forgot. He was smart way before you came around. He was funny, he was loving and caring, all the things that you weren't. You wanted to take credit for all of his academic accomplishments, but honestly, his teachers and Brianna and my family get credit for that. Corey wanted a father so bad. He wanted you to love him, teach him, play with him, hug him, the things that fathers do. You and your family couldn't stand the thought of sharing him with my family. You wanted total control. Corey would have done great things had he not been taken from this earth. You were like a sniper. You focused on your target and you took him out. Your speech in court was lame. I expected more from you. After all, you have a master's degree in education, even if it is an online degree. It was difficult to contain myself in court, but I did it for Corey. You know, my family loved him more than anything, and you know, taking him from us would destroy us. I predicted this would happen, but nobody believed me. You had everyone fooled except me and Brianna. You wanted me out of the picture so you could manipulate Brianna. Chris, do yourself a favor. While you're in prison, admit your wrongs and take your punishment. Your appeal will take a lot of time to be heard and a lot of money. Your parents are up in age. Stop wasting their retirement money and accept what will be, like Corey did. He knew you were going to end his life and he accepted it. I don't expect to hear from you, but writing is therapy for me. I'm sure prison staff isn't giving you my emails. Got to protect the rights of the criminal, I suppose. Such a beautiful November day. Do you get much time outside? And I think that's about it. And then I just wrote, regards, Corey's GMA forever. So that was November's message. December, I might send him a Christmas or Hanukkah card. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you're doing. I love it's all just love and passion behind it from you. I mean, it's just raw what you're saying, how you're feeling, and the progression, you know, I don't know how it's going to progress. It might be in December, you send them that and a little condescending jab, and then by next year, it might regress back to, you know, where you just want to call them a bunch of names. But I think that's part of the process, you know, and I mean, I think there's so many mothers out here that can learn from this, mothers, parents, whatever, that not only lose their children or grandchildren, but parents that are doing they're doing what happened to Corey. I forgot that Chris put a hit essentially on Bree.
Yeah, everybody forgot. It was so forgotten that it never made it to the courtroom, if you recall.
I do. I posed the question today. Thank you, Foxy. I posed the question today. Was this sentencing enough? And absolutely not, knowing that all the things he did, right? Because it was his first time. But you guys have to remember, it was his first time getting caught. They didn't bring the fact that he was, was selling drugs or taking drugs or whatever he was doing with his collared shirt on, with his blonde hair and blue eyes. They didn't see that.
No. And don't forget the abuse of the child prior to Corey. Didn't get to hear about that.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that, because a lot of people don't know.
So, right around, I guess it was, I don't know, prior to his first actual visit with Corey, his girlfriend was living in the Gregor house in Monroe with the parents. And Chris was abusing her son in very similar ways that he abused Corey. And the only reason that case went away is because she packed up and moved out of state. And she did that because she was going through some things with, I guess, her son's father. So she wanted it to go away. So she packed up and she moved. So the case was closed. And everybody denied that. I mean, you saw David Gregor have his little tantrum at the end of sentencing and take the floor looking. Don't even get me started. He looked like Big Bird, tall, goofy son of a bitch. I don't care. He can sue me. What's he going to take?
They can't. It's allegedly, supposedly, and it's our opinion and freedom of speech. There's nothing that,
we were silenced for the last almost 4 years. Oh, don't do this. You might jeopardize the case. Don't do this. Right. I wish I would have acted up in the courtroom. I probably would have felt better, honestly, because I don't think the outcome would have been any different. If they had to drag me out of there every day of trial, kicking and screaming, do you think that would have made a difference? Would he have gotten less time? Would he have gotten? I don't think it would have mattered. No. I just think nobody wanted to deal with me.
I agree with that. They don't want to deal with you or with Bree or with anybody. I mean, they made bad decisions and they know they did, and that's why we root for Bree. A lawsuit isn't going to do shit, but maybe it'll just open up a little bit to somebody about their failures. And it was I blame Chris, but I blame them for letting that treadmill video come through and then not taking him away. I mean,
well, I think what happened prior to Corey's death, when Bree filed the emergent order, DCPMP didn't give Judge Bradshaw that video. I don't know why. I would hope that had they given it to him, he would have ruled differently.
Grandma.
But, I don't know why it wasn't given to the judge, but apparently it wasn't.
Well, that's a failure on their part. And so, I mean, a lot of people assume that you guys or Bree was going to do a civil lawsuit because, right then and there. I mean, that's a failure. And then the 100 other times, right? And this is Corey's grandma, Rebecca MICCIOLO. We're here today talking about Corey. This is his grandma, and she has a lot to say. And she's writing a book. Hopefully we can help direct her on that. Just for the people that don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's a huge failure of the system. Damn. A lot of things. I mean, I can't believe he put a hit. I can't believe he did that before with another. I remember now with the ex-girlfriend that we saw, that we had her on here, like playing a video, and none of that was documented.
Nope. And, I understand Judge Ryan saying Chris was never convicted of any crimes, but he committed a crime during the trial by coaching his mother. Is that not a crime anymore? So that was one crime he committed during trial. I thought you weren't allowed to do that. Coaching a witness or something. I thought that was a crime. I guess
that's a good question.
So I don't know. I just feel like with Judge Ryan, he could have been a little more harsh during sentencing. He could have been a little more stern. He was just he didn't get mad. He didn't, that's what
it was like a good old boys club. I felt like it was a good old boys club, and it was wink, wink, nod, nod. Do your time.
It was, we're trying to avoid an appeal. So
go ahead.
I'll
play this after.
If the judge was more stern with Chris, then that would have been grounds for an appeal. Then every case would be appealed.
I've heard some judge rip people, new ones. They can say that. They can say you're a worthless, narcissistic, sadistic, psychopathic for doing that to your son. I mean, he could. That's not grounds for appeal.
And
that
he didn't.
Have anything to do.
And
he did.
What he did say, he could have been like more stern. That's what I said. It was almost like he was saying, now, I told you not to touch the cookie jar. Don't do that again. He was just, I don't know. I don't know. It's just not the way I expected it. And then, like I said, for David to be able to take the floor at the end after we made our impact statements, he was allowed to get up, and he shouldn't have been. He was allowed to, he was asked, I guess, if he wanted to make a statement, and he declined. And then after we did, then he wanted to clarify things, this didn't happen. And I just think Judge Ryan should have told him to sit his ass down. He shouldn't have been able to speak.
I feel like they tried to shame Bree. I definitely think the trial, if you look back at it, and I heard people's views from both sides, many people were blaming Bree, and I couldn't understand
They
that.
still do to this day. I go back and look at different things, and there are still comments, as 2 days ago, people saying, well, where was the mother? She chose drugs over, I'm so sick of hearing that. I am so tired of hearing that.
I love digging into this case and telling people absolutely not, and showing them. Once I brought Bree on here and she's able to tell her side of it and the truth, it's clear as day that she had no part. As a matter of fact, the part she had was calling 100 times or whatever that she did. She had a part in trying to save him, and that's the only part that she had in it.
Right.
People thought that another misconception was that she didn't call him until she wanted money, and then all of a sudden she called Chris to get money, when in fact, no, she wanted help. And then they went to Chris and said, you need to pay child support, dude. And he didn't want to, so he tried to get custody, or he got 50-50, right?
Right. But people still say that's not true. He had full custody.
It is.
And
no,
nobody knows everything, and that's why it's very frustrating, to read these comments, and
it is.
People just have no clue. They really don't know. And it's just really hard. And I guess I probably shouldn't look back and read the comments, just like,
yeah, I don't on my channel. Trust me, I get lots of comments about who knows what. I don't do it anymore.
But, people also don't think I should be writing him, oh, she needs to stop and move forward and whatever. Okay, well, when someone kills your grandson, let me know how quick you move forward, because I don't see it happening for a long time for me. I would like to. I would like to just.
I'm going to play it. I'm going to play this, Foxy, real quick. The reason I put it up is I wanted her to talk, but we're going to put this, I'm going to play the sentencing so we can talk about it. So I don't want to take his face down. Let's play this, and then we'll react, and then we'll talk about the book, etc. So we want everyone to know that this monster did this, and he's the only one that's accountable for this. It's about 10 minutes. I'll fast forward it if there's nothing in between, but I want us to do the sentencing part.
Impact of singular offenses against different victims will generally exceed the total impact on a single victim. We don't have that here. We have a single victim. But first, not to impose a consecutive sentence for the endangering would be to make that endangering offense a free crime. And one need only view the circumstances of the offense and the video to know it shouldn't be a free crime. The crimes are somewhat interrelated. They're not completely independent of each other, but they are predominantly independent of each other.
All right, so I want you guys to listen to this carefully and how the judge interacts, and then we're going to talk about that, and Rebecca will talk about the judge, etc. Right, and then we won't have him up anymore. I just need you guys and people that don't know this case to see this case, what we're talking about, what we're referring to.
Corey was subjected to an awful time on the treadmill that I've described. It was brutal to watch that treadmill video, because you rarely see a child essentially inflict harm on himself in the beginning until his father starts to put him back on it. So it doesn't take a vivid imagination to consider the fear Corey's in at that point. The two incidents are approximately 12 or 13 days apart, although they both occur in Barnegat. They're at different times, and they are at separate places, although relatively close together. The gym at the complex and the defendant's apartment at the complex.
I don't
But they're
understand
not so sufficiently close in time as to be a single.
And if there's anything you want me to stop, or you want to comment on, or you don't want me to play this, I can stop it, Rebecca. I just want people to see how the judge was, so they can see what happened if you didn't watch it. Yeah, but if you have something to say, because I'm talking, I'm like, I just, the way he talks and how they, one was at your apartment and one abuse was, outside. So we're gonna, I don't understand how that's a factor at all. And there is a wrongful death or some sort of lawsuit coming, Michelle, and I'm here for it. So you guys, after this, I'm not going to play any more videos. You're going to hear Rebecca's thoughts, my thoughts, and we're going to talk about the book that hopefully we get to write and the idea that I have for the progression of this
episode of aberrant behavior. This is not someone that went and committed 4 car burglaries in a parking lot, one after another, which would be a single episode of aberrant behavior. They clearly involved separate acts of violence and or threats of violence and harm to Corey. The second act being the ultimate act, which was successful in ending his life. They don't involve multiple victims. So I conclude, for those reasons, that it would be to send a message to the public, to the defendant, and to those who abuse children, that you can get away with one offense if you get caught on the other.
That's not a good message.
For deterrent reasons in general, or for specific deterrence in this case. And therefore, I conclude that count 1 and 2 should be consecutive. The law requires me to make a additional statement on the overall fairness of a.
Now, just hearing him say this, it's like he's just reading a book, and he kind of is. It's like, I just have to send a message to the public. And he's like, wink, wink, you can get away with one thing, Chris, but, if you do a second thing, especially on camera in your gym, you're going to get caught. But, I have to do this. I have to. It's not like it's like he's not even upset about it. And I don't know if he's desensitized. Yeah, without the treadmill video, it would have been a lot harder. All right, let's listen to this, and then we'll talk about it.
A consecutive sentence. This is a requirement imposed by our Supreme Court in State versus Torres, 246, New Jersey, at page 246, a 2021 case, where our court held that the trial judges to make an explicit statement of fairness that explains the overall fairness of the consecutive sentence. So first, I've imposed sentence on the second-degree crime at the bottom of the second-degree range. Second-degree range is 5 years to 10 years. I conclude that if I were to go greater than the bottom of the second-degree range, I would be subject to an abuse of discretion as that being excessive. Secondly, the endangering sentence is not part of the No Early Release Act. It does not contain a court-imposed period of parole and eligibility. It's referred to as a flat sentence. Additionally, I conclude that the consecutive sentence is fair because of the reasons I just articulated about no free crimes. Defendant is 32 years of age. Absent some unusual medical event for a young person, he will eventually be released to his own liberty.
By
he will eventually be a free man to walk around. Corey, of course, will not. So this is not the functional equivalent of a life sentence, despite the imposition of a consecutive sentence. It's also fair and just, given some of the testimony by Dr. Andrew, who testified in great detail about this, got down off the witness stand, went to the large screen TV and pointed out the bruising all over Corey's body. And
now tell me real quick, can you tell me what you thought about Dr. Bodden, Andrew Bodden? Did he help the case? I can't remember. Or was it
No, poor thing. He came there with an aide. I guess she had to go change his Depend on break. It was pitiful.
Okay.
It was embarrassing because I used to watch him, I don't know how many years ago. And he was, oh my God, I just thought he was the shit, And
me too.
Listen, I was nervous that he was coming. Seriously, I thought he was going to,
just wipe the floor.
I felt like I needed to grab a hold of him and help him walk. He was sitting next to me on the bench before being called in, the poor thing. And I thought, is he alive? He was falling asleep, and I'm nudging Bree. I'm like, I think he's dead. Literally, the poor guy had an aide with him to come to court with him. It was sad. It was an embarrassment for him. I don't think
was it a
did
budget?
anything.
You think it was a budget buy that Chris and his family, because they paid for him privately, correct? I believe.
I don't know. I'm assuming, but seriously, it was sad. I was embarrassed for him and for them. Honestly, it was pitiful.
Wow.
Just the way he was in the waiting room. I wouldn't have even taken him in the courtroom. I would have said, never mind. If I was the defense attorney, I would have said, forget it. It was pitiful.
We're talking about Dr. Bodden. He was, I believe, hired by the Gregor family as a like a forensic, a forensic guy. I can't even think of the name, but he used to be on Bodden was on like an HBO show. He had a show. I don't know if it was Court TV or HBO, but I remember watching him too.
Yeah.
I think he does like autopsies and stuff, and I believe he was a private hire, like because they hire their own defense. So Dr. Bodden used to just kick ass and come in, and he'd be able to wipe the floor. And so that's what I think. I'm kind of glad that happened because, it didn't help him at all, and they paid money for it. So good. So that's what I was referring to. You guys can go back and watch this case. But he did autopsies, and I remember watching like Autopsy Tales or something like that, whatever.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going. I just wanted to get your opinion and your take, and sometimes getting a break and being able to laugh at somebody that, we want to. That's how we do it sometimes.
Right.
All right, let's keep going.
Testified about the injuries and bruising of different ages in different levels of healing, demonstrating the doctor's concern about ongoing abuse. We had pretrial hearings about this. The state in count one, endangering originally alleged abuse, was occurring from December of 2020 through March of 2021, up through the date of Corey's death. I concluded that, really to protect the defendant's right to a fair trial, I concluded that many of the other incidents were attributed to normal childhood activities, going hiking and getting a branch and that comes back from a shrub into the tree, playing sports. And because there was what I found to be insufficient medical documentation or medical testimony that those instances were attributed to abuse, I did not allow them in. But Dr. Andrew, who did not testify in that pretrial hearing but testified later, was very compelling about those levels of injury and their different states of healing. Kids get bumps and bruises. Corey had more than bumps and bruises that you would see on a 6-year-old. So for all the foregoing reasons, I conclude the imposition of a consecutive sentence is overall fair under the circumstances of this case. The state's taken an additional position that I should impose the least restrictive or flat prison sentence first, such that it precedes the more restrictive prison sentence, meaning that the defendant should serve the endangering sentence before the aggravated manslaughter sentence. There's a very difficult legal analysis associated with that. I rely upon State versus Ellis.
Yep,
it's
that's
a
it
television
right there.
case from 2002, 346 New Jersey Super 583. And a Supreme Court opinion in
Now, I'll stop there for 1 second because that's right. That's what happened. It was an extensive abuse that escalated over a time. That's what the whole thing was in court. Like, it wasn't a direct correlation of the treadmill that got him because Bree had him before and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, the judge talking about this and saying this, it blows my mind. And that he turned down the 30-year plea and then got less. So
Right.
That's another thing that really got me
Seems like
upset
he knew
about
he
this.
was going to get less if he went to trial.
Right. And the judge wasn't harsh on him. We're listening to this. We got a few more minutes of this, but he just wasn't harsh. It's like he didn't want to do it. It almost makes me feel like he maybe was friends with his dad or something, Chris's dad, and he was like, hey, wink, wink, I have to say this, but I don't want to. All right, let's finish it.
In State versus Pierce, Pierce, 220 New Jersey 205, an appellate Supreme Court decision from 2014. It is legally possible. In fact, what the Ellis case says is, while it's not illegal, it's difficult to justify. And it typically runs afoul of certain sentencing guidelines, and it may interfere with the expertise of the parole board in determining when a defendant should be released on parole. And based upon both of those decisions, I conclude that I cannot impose the least restrictive sentence first without engaging in an abuse of discretion. So therefore, I direct that the No Early Release Act sentence on the aggravated manslaughter count run first, followed by the flat sentence on the endangering count, such that the aggregate sentence is 25 years and that the jail credit of 885 days comes off the aggregate sentence. Another condition of the No Early Release Act is that defendant shall serve a 5-year period of parole supervision upon release, that he shall provide a DNA sample and pay for the cost of same. There are 2 $50 victim of crime compensation assessments, 2 $75 safe neighborhood assessments, 1 $30 law enforcement training and equipment fee. The superintendent of the institution where defendant is incarcerated shall draw sufficient monies in an amount not to exceed 1/3 of the inmate's total income as may be required to pay these assessments. The Office of the Victim of Crime Compensation Board submitted a request for restitution for funeral expenses. There's been testimony during the course of the case about whether or not defendant's parents paid for funeral expenses.
They didn't pay
Now,
for
is that
shit.
even? That's what I was going to ask you. Is that even
didn't pay for
true? Did
shit.
anybody? Nobody's contacted you and said, "Here's $2 from Christopher Gregor," because they took it out. Nobody's done that, huh? Nobody's.
No, that family did not pay for shit. They can say they did. They didn't pay for shit.
Well, they sure like how they look at all times. If you notice when the camera's on them, they try to play up to it. They definitely played up in court. I don't know if they at some point they did take the stand, but they acted like holier than thou.
Yeah.
So I think if anything, they were more embarrassed than anything. Now, somebody says he's in protective custody. Is that true, Rebecca?
I
You
have
know?
no idea. I don't get to know anything. My emails don't even go through as far as I know. So we haven't heard anything from anyone since August 2nd.
And that was the day here that he was sentenced.
Right.
Okay. All right, let's keep going. We're almost done with this. I just want you guys to hear what happened and if you think it's just. But before when we talked to Rebecca, the taking a hit out on Bree, the other crimes with his ex-girlfriend and everything that led up to it just doesn't. Yeah, it's just not. It's not just.
Whether or not the Miss MICCIOLO's family paid for them through the VCCO office. I've considered, am I supposed to hold a hearing on that? And I conclude that the parties need closure in this matter. They don't need another hearing on whether or not those expenses actually went to the funeral, and the VCCO letters also refers to some other expenses not associated with the funeral that may not be directly attributable to defendant's conduct. If these were out-of-pocket expenses by anyone qualifying as a victim, I'd be inclined to consider them further. The Office of the Victim of Crime Compensation Board exists for the benefit of victims. It charges, the defendants are assessed, like this defendant's been assessed, 2 penalties for that, to fund that. And I conclude at this point that it's not appropriate to order that restitution because of the questions concerning who paid for the funeral. And more importantly, I would have to do an analysis of the defendant's ability to pay now or in the future. He's been incarcerated for the last 885 days. He's been unemployed. He clearly has no ability to pay now, and he has little ability to pay for the next 25 years. So I conclude for those reasons that mitigating factor 6 is not present. There's no restitution to be paid, no ability to pay restitution. Therefore, I do not order restitution. If there's any bail in this matter, it's discharged. There are no dismissals. Madam Clerk, is there anything else I need to address? And Mr. Gallucci, we get his appeal rights form? All right. Anything further from council?
No,
All
Judge,
right.
thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone, for your excellent presentations. That concludes the matter.
Thank you.
All right. Now we can get him off of here and we can talk about it. So I just calculated that, and it actually 25%, it's 85% of 25 years and then 2.5 years of time served. So that's what it is. I can, 25%. And then what do you times 85%? I did that last time. So 21 years minus 2.5. So that's how much he has left. 21, around 21 minus 2.5. Not too long.
If I'm still alive when he gets out, I'm going to go pick him up. I'll give him a ride home.
18.5 years that he has, and that's meaning that he's like good and everything, because on a case like this it has to be 85%, and in New Jersey it's 85%. So he has 18.5 years there. All right, so that being said, you obviously don't think that's just. We saw the judge. What do you think about, you were there in person with the judge? How did it feel?
I just kept waiting for him to raise his voice, to point his finger, something, but it didn't happen.
No, he didn't even lecture him like a lot of judges do.
Nope. It just didn't seem right,
And I mean, tell us about the family a little bit, because I know that they made a big deal, like for the cameras, right? That they didn't see the video, or they didn't want to go. What happened with that? They didn't want to go. I don't know what they did, but they made a big deal out of it.
Well, they claim they didn't see the video, but his father is retired law enforcement. You're going to tell me that man didn't analyze that video from start to finish numerous times? There's no way they didn't watch that video. They didn't want to admit they watched it, because if you don't see it, it didn't happen.
Right.
They watched it.
I feel like a lot of the time was just them being like embarrassed that their son did that, and wasn't, like a good guy, because they tried to act like they were grandparents of the year, and he was, trying to be father of the year. That's how I saw it.
Yeah, that's exactly what they wanted everyone to think.
All right, so let's see. Mara says, I thought the endangering charge was part of the bail reform in New Jersey. Why does his parole say 2039?
I have no idea. I don't
I have no idea. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I looked it up before, and it says Christopher Gregor was sentenced to 25 years in prison, with 20 years for aggravated manslaughter and 5 for child endangerment. The sentences were to be served consecutive, which means one after the other because of the way it went. So that's 25 years. And then it says he'll be eligible for parole after serving 85% of his sentence. So that's 18.5 years with the time served. So if you add 18.5 to 2024, that's why. Or 2023, right? Was it last year that this happened? 2023 plus 18.5. Was that August 2024, or was it last year?
Oh, no, court was just this past August.
Just this year. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I added that up, Mara, and that means 2041. So 2039 for parole is about right. That is just about correct, given that he doesn't do anything in prison. So yeah, I mean, that's what it is, everybody. So none of us think that's fair. I mean, tell us if you want to talk about. I'd like to talk about the book a little bit, and what you've done. If anybody can help, I'd like to put it on my community page, but I want you to talk about it a little bit.
Well, so I reached out to, I don't know, like publishers, ghostwriters, I guess they're called. And, I'm getting different opinions. One person told me that, I should start the book way back, like when I met my husband, Brianna's father. Well, what's that got to do with anything? Like, I don't know that that's where I should. Why does anybody care about that?
Right.
And then, another person, oh, well, this isn't going to be one book. It's going to have to be several, and then, so I'm kind of, I'm stuck where I actually entertained one company, and then, I submitted something to them, and then they sent me like 2 weeks later what they called chapter 1, and it wasn't my words. It wasn't what we had discussed. And I thought,
Oh,
okay,
wow.
so who's writing this, me or you? I know the story. Like
Yeah.
So that kind of turned me off, and I thought, well, that's not the route to go.
No. Right.
I just don't know where to go with it. I have the story. I just don't know how to write it, and that's what I've said all along. I don't know how to write it.
Right. Now, I mean, just a little suggestion, and I'm listening to read those letters, and I think that would be a great part of the book for you to just write whatever you can, what happened. Like, it doesn't have to be in a format. I mean, I wrote a book before, and this is what I did. I just literally vomited on a Word document.
Right.
And then I sent it over to an editor, and instead of changing my words, he made it sound better and then edited it into chapters. So my
Right.
recommendation is also to use your letters. I mean, if they never get to him, they're going to get out to be published, and maybe
Right.
at some point he will read that book. I mean, it can be called Letters to Christopher or whatever, and every time you feel like writing him a letter, write the thing down, write the first part of the story, right? Use the letters, and then, whatever. I mean, I'm just I've got my degree in graphic design. I'm an artist for my whole life. And so just being creative, that's my idea for you.
Right.
So that's why I encourage you to keep writing those letters and documenting them, because you can use that to get your thoughts out and for a healing,
Right. Yeah.
Anybody else?
It's just harder than I thought. I just thought it was going to be, originally that, I thought it would be done by the end of October, published and out on the shelf somewhere, and just didn't happen that way. And it's frustrating because, like I said, I have the story, I lived it, I just can't get it out there.
Well, I think, like I said, my idea is just to get anything that you can, just write anything. And then instead of having someone be a ghost writer, have them just be an editor to the book. And what they do is they take all your thoughts and make it sound, or they put it into an order that you're trying to, and they make it. So maybe ghost writing is the wrong, the wrong verbiage we're using. I'm sure somebody can help. Crime Remember says, please don't let anyone change the story, which we're not. But there's so many people that I think can give us insight on it, or, like I said, I have an editor. I can send him your way and you can see. I don't know. The thoughts are in your head. So obviously the words come from you, and then someone organizes them.
Right. Like I can't break it down into paragraphs. It's like one big run-on sentence with me. It's like I don't know where to start and finish a paragraph. It's hard because there's so much, and then I feel like I jump from one topic to the other, and I'm like, oh wait, no, this happened first. Let me go back. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. And I really want to get it done though, because I really think it's important to get it out there, because I mean, there's got to be a time that somebody in his family is going to come upon this book. If it's written, they're going to see it. Somebody that they know will, or, and that's my goal. I want everybody to know.
No. And everybody does. I mean, you have a lot of information that you can put out, and if someone could just help you organize those thoughts, which I do believe that can happen now. Synth, yeah, sure, you can help. Synth, you can absolutely help. I can exchange emails with you guys, and you can give the ideas to Rebecca. But how many pages? Let me ask you, how many pages do you think you have?
Right now, I probably have about 35 pages written, and then, it's just, like I said, it's total pages, not paragraphs. So it's like just front and backs of pages, I just don't know where to cut it off, where to start and end a paragraph. It's just not easy.
Yeah, and I think, I do think just getting it down is the most important part. That's really good info, guys. And I know, Synth, you're definitely Synth helps me here on the channel, and she organizes my stuff to the T. So if you, I will definitely do that. I can't read all your comments, Synth, because it's flying through, but I have to have her connect with me. I have designer and I know authors from my days as beta reader. Yes, we will do that, Synth. We will definitely do that. I got you, and I got her. But I think that is a big thing, Rebecca, is just get it out. I would love to see those letters in there too, because with dates, because I'd love to see how they progress. Just I feel like that's a big part of the story that's going to be told, is how you feel and how it changes over time and how it might go back. And that's a huge thing. You know?
mean, I think what are good ideas for the book. Like I thought I'd even include some court documents in there, different things. I don't know.
Absolutely.
A lot of things that maybe nobody heard in court or weren't, allowed in court. I just think I have good ideas. I just don't know how to put it together. I've not ever written a book before, so it's hard. It's just really hard to get it done.
Well, my company has published 20 something books since I've been there. So I think I have a little bit of idea, and I've also published a book. So like I say, get your thoughts down and then let somebody help you organize them. And then the publishing part's not that hard. Like really anybody can do it nowadays. So if my team can help you at all, I know Synth can, she can at least help you get your thoughts together. I'd love to be able to help you, because I've seen it done, and you just throw up on paper and let somebody help you organize it is what it is. You got to get it out of your head.
Right. I had both companies that I spoke to, both publishing companies. They were like, well, for this fee, if you pay this fee, then we're going to publish your book and it's going to be available on Amazon, whatever. And I'm like, will it be in a store? Oh no, we only make them as they're ordered. We only print the books as they're ordered. I'm like, no, I want to have a box full of books sit in my living room. Like I want a book that I can touch and hold. I don't want it online. Is that a new thing? I don't know. Maybe people don't.
I wrote a book and I ordered my books and I have them here and I sign them for people. I have a couple books sitting here. I send them as gifts or I give them out. No, it's not. And I did those myself. And like I said, I was in the process of 20 other books since I've been at my company for 17 years. So if you need our direction, we can help. It's really, they were just trying to get the money from you. They're just trying to get money. Those, I think maybe we given you the wrong verbiage, like a ghostwriter. Maybe somebody gave you the wrong verbiage, but I don't think we want what they're selling you. Let's try to help you.
No, it didn't end up being what I thought it was going to be. And that's why I was like, I can't do this.
I have a couple books just sitting here right now that I wrote, just sitting on my desk. And, I just, like I said, I just vomited out what I wanted in a Word document. I don't write by hand. I just said, and I shot it off and I had people help me organize my thoughts.
It's funny. I started writing on legal pads. This is how the book started. And I thought, I can't do this. This is ridiculous. I have to get with the times. So I got my little laptop out about, I don't know, maybe a month ago. And I'm typing and I'm going and I'm feeling good about it. And all of a sudden it shuts off. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going back to the legal pads then. I was so upset, but then it saved everything. Thank God. So now, I have it and that's how I've been doing it. But I was writing, like handwriting, everything.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah.
I can't do it like this. It's not going to happen.
Can I tell you something funny? I wrote my whole book almost on my phone. I had 2 weeks off of work and I sat there on the couch in between all my time off and was just like, bam, just getting the thoughts out. I literally, like I said, just vomited on a doc, and I took that doc and I copied it over to my email, and then it went into like a Google Doc. So yeah, I definitely recommend if you can get it from the paper to like any kind of Google Doc or whatever. It'd probably be a lot more better.
That's what I ended up doing. I'm like, I can't be doing this yellow legal pad stuff. I'm never getting anywhere. It was too much. And then I can't read my writing. I'm like, wait, what did I write here? It was a lot.
Thank you, Stella, again for the $20 buy a coffee for all who's helping we give here. Thank you. And we do. Yeah. Like I said, I'd love to help you get the ideas. I don't want you going in a circle, especially since I've seen so many books published. It's like, I shouldn't Another good thing about putting it in like a Google Doc is that if you don't have enough and it ends up being like separated out, you can fill the blanks in with court documents or with like actual things like that happen that you don't have to write because it's already documented.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Like those kind of
Yeah.
things I wanted to, things that people don't know. They didn't see it or hear it in court. I wanted to include some things.
Yeah. And you could just write like checklists of the things that didn't and then fill in the blanks after. That's my recommendation. The holidays are coming. I don't know. Do you work full time or what do
No.
you? Okay. So then, the holidays are
No.
coming. You're probably going to have a little bit more time to do
Yeah.
some stuff.
I had what happened was 2 months prior to Corey's passing, I was injured at my job and I required a spinal fusion surgery. So I haven't worked since. And then, after everything that happened, like mentally, I'm not quite capable of doing much. So I've been home for,
Right.
I guess it's almost 4 years now.
Wow.
I'd like to be at work. I think it would help a lot
Yeah.
to take my mind off of things. And I enjoyed my job and my work friends, but that's all a thing of the past. So they all went away. And that's fine.
Once you get busy into that, it just the time flies. So I mean, maybe
Yeah.
this will help to kind of get that started. And we're all here for you. You talk to the Gothic Breed, our moderator. You talk to her, and we can put you in touch with Sin to help you. And just it should help. But we're also here for any updates or anything you want to talk about. We're here. If there's
Thank you.
anything that. Yeah,
I just don't want anybody to forget about Corey. It's like there's so many. I know there's other court cases that
put us
are
up
out
here.
there,
Hold on.
and it's like I don't
Let's
want
do this.
story to be forgotten. I don't want Corey to be forgotten. And sometimes I feel like, sentencing is over and life went on for everybody, but not for us. We're still here, so it's it's tough. It's just really tough.
No, I get it. And we, before I reached out to you, we were talking about let's do a remembering Corey, remembering, the people that we covered and the families, all victims. So then I reached out to you, or Bree reached out to you, and that's how we did this. We don't want people to think they got forgotten. And I hope you can see those pictures because I'm gonna run this through. We can finish talking and then probably just wrap this up. But yeah, thank you guys all for being here to support. Thank you, Rebecca.
No, thank
for
you.
coming.
I appreciate you keeping Corey's story out there.
Yeah, there's more to be told, and that's another reason why I wanted you on here, because I know there's more to be told, and sometimes you just need to like get it out to bring those things out.
Right.
And keep writing the letters too. Those letters are important in the progress of how things are going. To me, I feel like that's a big part of your story. I don't know if other people see it that way, but I always have a different view than other people.
Well, there have been quite a few people on Justice for Corey who don't agree with me writing, like I said earlier. They need to move forward, and why would she write to him? And they don't understand. I guess they don't know me, and they don't know how I know Chris. I know things that will get to him whether he would admit it or not, and I know my little digs and my little letters would get to him if he ever read them. And I'm not saying he's ever going to read them, but it gives me it just helps me to write. Whether
it's
he
therapeutic.
reads it or not. Yeah. And so.
Yeah. And they don't have to understand.
I'd like to go see him.
Right.
I wish he would. I've actually called the prison 3 times since he got there and said, are you sure I'm not on his list? Are you sure he didn't put me on his visitors list? Because I'm thinking maybe, it's delayed on the website. Maybe they know something. No, ma'am, you're not on the list. I'm like, okay. I'm just thinking I would really like to sit in front of him and just, I don't know. I don't know what would happen. I don't know, but I'd like to have the opportunity.
And I wonder if he would even say anything or just the same old story. Like, I didn't mean it to happen. It was an accident. Like,
I don't think he'd say anything because he doesn't want to risk screwing up his appeal, because now I'm pretty certain what he's thinking is, I'm going to get out of this. My appeal, he probably thinks somehow, this appeal is going to happen and he's going to get out. That's probably what they're all thinking right now, the whole family. Imagine if that happened.
I don't think that will happen. It was a pretty straightforward. I'm glad the judge sentenced him the way he did, even though there was no emotion to it, and I understand that. But it was by the book. There was nothing wrong that you can say about that because it was by the book. So when you go back to an appeal, you can't. There's nothing to appeal on. I just don't. I don't see that.
Well,
I don't see that happening.
When I found out he filed the appeal, I wanted to know based on what, but they couldn't tell me that yet. It wasn't available. It was just the appeal was filed. That's the only information. So I don't know when that, when they find out what it was based on. Will they tell me over the phone? Will somebody tell? I don't know how that works.
What I'll tell you, and I've been watching and studying true crime for most of my life, and I'll tell you right now, it's usually an automatic thing. It's probably not based on anything that has like a foundation to it. Right when somebody gets their handed down their sentence, their attorney files for an appeal, and especially since
Gallucci announced that on the that was after trial. I guess it was like the last day of trial. I believe he announced that an appeal would be filed, if I'm not mistaken.
It's an automatic thing that just happens in like right away. It's just giving them their shot at it immediately.
Right.
Most people will just do it just because, like I said. So I don't know that he has any grounds for an appeal at all.
I mean, you watch the trial. Can you think of anything? I mean, usually
no.
It's incompetent attorney. And I mean, was his attorney incompetent? I mean, that's everyone's opinion to them. I have my own opinion about Gallucci. I don't know what other people think, but I don't know that you could prove that he was incompetent during trial. He was working with what he had to work with,
Right.
And I believe the only other possible thing I think that the appeal could be based on would be the judge not separating the two cases, the abuse from the murder. But the judge thought long and hard and really was contemplating separating the two, but then in the end decided not to. So I would like to think that the judge knew that, he was making the right decision, or he wouldn't have made it, just like everything else that he didn't do for fear of an appeal, right?
Exactly. So, and that's why I'm saying, as much as we're upset about the emotion that he didn't have, he went by the book. He really did go by the book. And you're right, Cynth, it's an automatic appeal. It's always an automatic appeal. It's something the lawyers do. Now, it would be stupid. I don't think a judge would accept another trial, because if it was only about the two cases being separate, one's only 5 years and the other one's 20. So what are they going to spend millions of dollars on another trial to shave 5 years off? I don't think anybody would accept that.
Right.
I don't think anyone would accept that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't claim to know the law, and I definitely know even less now after all this. So I don't know. And I mean, from what I'm being told, appeals take a long time to be heard. So, I mean,
well, they're heard. They're usually denied. If you look at the statistics of an appeal, you look at statistic wise, how many appeals go through because it's an automatic process. It's very low, very, very low. I don't want to say 2% or something, but I know it's really low.
Right. Right.
And you're right, Marilyn, the judge sentences with appeals in mind. And sometimes they don't care. Like, if you're sentencing Ted Bundy, rip him one, right? Rip Ted Bundy one. Everyone knows Ted Bundy, right? So if you're sentencing a serial killer and they had 20 bodies behind them that they just got tried for, who cares? You can say whatever you want. But I guess this one, he had to be careful.
Yeah,
but
I I don't know. I don't.
But I think the thing is it racks your brain, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here talking about it. I think he's never going to get an appeal. Thank you, Synth. It's like getting a case in front of the Supreme Court, 2%. Usually they just exhaust the appeals. It's a really low. I wish I knew the number exactly, but 2% is about right. They literally just don't do it. Right?
Well, that's good to hear.
Well, that's why the true crime community is here for you, because we're all about, knowing what happens in the courts, because we watch way too many cases. And you don't want to watch cases, but you're here because of what happened. So
right. I had another question that maybe you can answer. Wade Wilson, we all know who that is, right?
Yeah.
How is somebody getting a hold of his jail calls? How does that happen?
Well, that's a good question, because I just got, like I was telling you, they had the prosecutor messaged me and told me to take the body cam down. So you file a FOIA, a Freedom of Information Act request, and you pay them money and they send it over. So FOIA. Now my girls all do that here. Bree and Carly, they file FOIAs. That's how we get a lot of the documents. So it's a Freedom of Information Act. You can do that and file. And I know you want his, even if it's not phone calls, they can release body cam. You can see a lot of things with Freedom of Information Act, Rebecca, that might help you in understanding the process. You do have to pay, but some cases are less than others, and that's okay. I mean, we can all throw in on it as a true crime community. We can all throw in on it and, use it for purposes of YouTube and use it for purposes of whatever. Like, we're open to all that.
Right.
So
I'm going to check that out. Definitely. I did call to get the transcripts from the trial, but the girl kind of told me it was going to be very costly. And, mostly what I was looking for, I don't really need the transcripts, but I wanted the letters that were written on his behalf from the people that wrote on Chris's behalf at sentencing. I don't know if that would have been part of the documents or not, though, but I was.
And sometimes you don't know. Yeah, sometimes you don't know. And Carly's right. Some are free as well. We get a lot of free documents because we don't have, 300,000 subscribers. So, and we also watch out for that. So if I see like prison calls come out, and it's somebody covering Christopher Gregor, we grab it up and we don't have to pay for it. So you got to also watch out for that. But some are free. We get a lot of free stuff. It is super expensive getting the calls, and you can't. Transcripts are about $1.50 a page. So who cares about that? But you never know exactly what you're going to get. Like, they can't guarantee they're going to give you that. But you can certainly put a FOIA request in and see what you can get, and then let us know.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely work on that tomorrow.
Yeah, let us know so that we can, let me pull this down. We're done here. I don't want to pull up another case. We're done.
Yeah.
I wanted to run
through the prison tomorrow and just make sure I wasn't put on his visitors list since I last called. Because I would love to go there and visit with him.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, and again, just, we're here. Keep us posted. I'm going to exchange your information. I'm going to exchange you and Synth. She's great at organizing stuff and helping out with everything. She's like a go-to. So.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And Bree does a lot of the FOIAs, and you already talked to Bree. So if you have questions about the FOIAs, then I'm sure she'd love to help you or answer questions, whatever.
Thank you. I'm going to definitely look into that. Actually, I'm going to try tonight when I'm finished here and see what I can find.
Well, let us know if you get stuck or need questions. We're just a text away, an email away, whatever you prefer. We're right here, and let us know. We're building the website right now. I'll send you that when it's done. We have a Corey page, Corey MICCIOLO. It's remembering, Corey MICCIOLO and remembering the people that the cases we covered. So I'm gonna have a whole page on guilty of crime for little Corey, and I'll send that over to you. I don't want to send it till it's done and I approve it, but I know it's up now. So yeah, let's just let's work together. You have something, let us know, and vice versa.
Thank
Does that sound
you.
good?
I sure will. Thank you so much for everything. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I love all of you guys. Thank you guys for being here and supporting. Do us a favor, hit the like button on the way out. We hope it reaches more people so we can have people commenting for everything, for all kinds of help that we can get. All right.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Well, we've been here for an hour and 20 minutes. I'll let you have a good night, and everybody else. Thank you guys. And Rebecca, I'll talk. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You
Bye.
too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?